More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Zach Gelb Show, hour number 2 of our radio program. Time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios is 5:17. I love my next guest. Did a tremendous job this year with St. Joe's and has for a very long time. DeAndre Bembry got the best out of him this year, and so did Isaiah Miles, and they had a nice run in the tournament. And now joining us is the head coach of the St. Joe's Hawks, and that is Phil Martelli. Coach Martelli, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
I'm doing great, Zach. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great, and I appreciate you coming on. I still can't get over your speech at the Big Five Hall of Fame this year when you decided to not accept the Big Five Coach of the Year award and give it to Jay Wright, and you started going through Michael Irvin, J.D. Drew, and all the bad incidences that we've had here in Philadelphia, and you go, Jay, if you don't take this trophy, I'll drive into your gated community tonight and drop off that trophy. That was great. How'd that come about, Coach?
Well, It was a little bit of a spur of the moment, but only the sticky at the end was a spur of the moment. And the man won the national championship, so he was the best coach in Philadelphia this year. There's nothing I could say other than that.
No doubt about that. And I was wondering the whole night, and Larry Dock from Temple said, Zach, you may want to stick around for the Coach of the Year presentation because I think Phil Martelli is going to entertain. Now, from something that's very great to something that is so unfortunate, one of your star players from last year, DeAndre Bembry, he's all excited for the NBA draft, but he lost his brother. I send my condolences to your program, Coach. That's such an unfortunate situation.
Thank you. And one of the things that has been so difficult is not only was Adrian Potts DeAndre's brother, but he was also DeAndre's best friend. So it's they had an extraordinary love for each other, brother to brother, and to bury one last Thursday, and then this Thursday to have the high of having your name called by the commissioner of the NBA is kind of surreal.
And DeAndre is such a good kid, and it's terrible. It's something that should happen to no one, especially what was going to be such a good time in his life. And I know he's going to be all smiles tomorrow, but I'm sure he'll be very emotional, and he'll be thinking of his brother. But why should a team draft DeAndre Bembry? I'm a big fan of him, by the way.
Versatility, feel for the game. He has an IQ and a way of playing that allows others to shine. The ability, I think, to guard multiple positions in that league, and the willingness to understand and to express the understanding that he doesn't have all the answers. And he knows he has to work on his shooting, and he will gravitate to the teacher on the staff of the team that he goes to. But first and foremost, I just think it's his versatility. He does a little bit of everything and a lot of winning, and that's what he'll bring to a team in the NBA.
How did he develop from when he first walked into your program until he left?
Well, he came in and fit, and he followed when he first came into the program. And he followed guys like Langston Galloway and Lil Kanasevich and Ron Roberts and Darius Quarles. And then when his time came to lead, he just kind of morphed into that. It wasn't anything dramatic. His willingness to communicate was absolutely to the highest level, whether it was with a team manager, video coordinator, the head coach, or his teammates. He had an ability to listen, but also to engage each and every person that he came in contact with.
So where do you expect him to go tomorrow night? When he gets his name called, what target round would you like to see him go?
Well,
number pick.
No, I think he's a first-round pick. I don't know anything more than that. I don't know. One workout was better than the other of the people that he went through. But to have his name called is going to be delightful. I don't offer an opinion because I don't know their business. But I certainly know that there's going to be great bittersweet joy with DeAndre and his family tomorrow night, and I think there's going to be real joy with the team that selects him.
DeAndre could have came back for one more year with St. Joe's. How do you help a player make that decision? What's your role in that decision process?
Well, I only put myself in if I'm asked. We facilitated all of the teams coming through to watch practice, to understand. We answered every question. We opened all doors. We opened all windows. We didn't hide anything about the way that we do things. And I just had conversation. And basically from the fall on, we just talked about him being in the moment, and I had complete trust that his mother and his grandfather and his brother would lead him down the right path, and that the decision was going to be DeAndre's, and whatever information they wanted me to gather, I would gather, and I would share it with them. I didn't want a vote. I didn't expect a vote. I didn't get a vote at the end, and I'm real comfortable with that.
Phil Martelli joins us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. The head coach of the St. Joe's Hawks did a really good job this year with that team. Let me get to another two players in the Big Five that it will be interesting to see where they end up. Maybe they won't get drafted, maybe they will, but I expect they'll get a shot with an NBA team. Ryan Arcidiacono and Daniel Oshefu. As someone that's had to prepare for them over the years, what stands out to you about those two players?
Well, I think the first thing that stands out is they're champions. So when you win at the highest level the way that they won, not just this year but over their career, I think that puts a certain notch on your belt for an NBA team. They are extraordinarily polite. They're terrific young guys, great representatives of their family, and the great program, the national championship program at Villanova. And if their name is not called in the second round, I would keep my phone on if I was both guys, because they're going to have a lot of opportunities to participate in summer league and hopefully go to training camp in the fall.
And, you know, living in Philadelphia right now, everyone is wondering what the Sixers are going to do on draft night. Clearly, they're going to take Ben Simmons one, but we'll see where else if they can move back up into the top 5 picks with trading away either Nerlens Noel or Jahlil Okafor with 24 and 26. But let's get to the number 1 pick. That will be Ben Simmons. What stands out to you about his game, Coach?
The pace with which he passes. He passes right hand, he passes left hand. He's so accurate as a passer, and I, like everybody else, saw the picture of him in Philadelphia the other day, standing next to Joel Embiid, and he had the body of an NBA player. So I get the questions about his shooting, but when a guy can facilitate with the pace that he can facilitate, the only player that I've seen do that in the last several years was really LeBron. I'm not saying he's LeBron. No one is LeBron. But this young guy can really, really put his teammates in a positive position to make baskets.
And when you have the number 1 pick, people have put 2 players under the microscope. They examined Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram. And more people think that Brandon Ingram is more of the safe pick. I think that Ben Simmons is going to be the better player, but everyone throws out these red flags. As a coach, how do you decipher what really are the red flags when everyone's throwing things out there left and right?
Well, I think that your word right there, everyone. The NBA is so efficient in studying these young guys, and they've really made it about their character. And the Sixers will have left no stone unturned in terms of finding out about Ben Simmons. And the fact that Brett Brown knew the family and has been engaged with that family for a very long time, I think it's a really positive sign for the 76ers. And it's unfortunate that, you know, innuendo and not even rumor, but just nonsense was spread about, you know, Ben Simmons and the locker room at LSU. Unless you were there every single day, you really don't have that right to make those kind of statements.
So let me ask you this, give you this situation. Let's say that you were in the situation of Brett Brown, and you know this kid for a long time. But when we had Seth Greenberg on the show earlier in the week, Seth, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the basic quote of what Seth was saying was that at the end of the year, Ben Simmons seemed disinterested, and if you go to Philadelphia, you're going to lose some games, and that would concern him if he gets disinterested in Philadelphia. When Ben Simmons sits down with Brett Brown for their first meeting after getting picked on Thursday night, what is that conversation? What would you try to stress to Ben Simmons coming to play in Philadelphia?
That the NBA is full of disappointment. And in Philadelphia right now, there's going to be disappointment. It's not going to be smooth sailing. And that 100 games, including exhibitions, and if you're good enough to be in a play, 100 games will be played. And he has to trust the people around him to make sure that he understands that he is now a professional. And, the peaks and the valleys in terms of if somebody wants to say effort or interest, that can't be. He's going to be a long, long time professional. And he wants to continue to grow every day. He's not the final answer. He's a piece, and he has to be willing to grow every single day. I think those conversations have already taken place, and I think that going into Thursday night, they will just continue.
And another possible piece to the puzzle in the rumor mill that leads up to the NBA draft has a lot of people trading either Jahlil Okafor or Nerlens Noel to trade up and get Chris Dunn. If you were the Sixers, would you trade either Okafor or Noel to get a Chris Dunn with all the big men that you already have?
That's the perfect answer, Zach. With all the big men that you have,
I think you do.
Balance on your roster. You really have to get balance on your roster, and you're going to have to get a point guard because that league is now playing smaller and playing through facilitators. You're going to have one in Ben Simmons, but you have to have one in the backcourt. So I'm not knocking Nerlens Noel. I'm not knocking Jahlil Okafor. But if that opportunity presented itself, I would do that.
Especially when you have a situation where Brian Colangelo was brought in to expedite this process. Sam Hinkie, he acquired a lot of those assets, but I don't know if Hinkie would possibly make this move and trade up, and that's what you have right now with the Sixers trying to get back on track with Brian Colangelo really trying to expedite this process, Coach.
There's no question. The recognition that the Sixers organization has for the pro basketball fan is extraordinary, and they're going to build excitement and create excitement. And if you can do it with young players like Dunn and Simmons and Embiid, Zarek when he gets here, I think that brighter days are ahead.
Now, before we let you run, as Phil Martelli joins us, people are waiting for the St. Joe's Hawks to return. Heck, we're waiting for all Big Five basketball to return. How do you get your team ready right now? What are some stuff that you do in the summer now to make sure your team's ready to go during the season?
Well, our freshmen will arrive on campus Friday morning. They'll be back in class. All of our guys will be back in class on Monday. And we get 2 hours a week. We'll start on Monday and Tuesday afternoons to play basketball and to keep the I don't like to be sound like cliches, but we want to keep the culture going. 2 of 3 Atlantic 10 championships is extraordinary. A lot of players have experienced that, and we want that for our next group. So we have a lot of work to do and a lot of numbers to make up for, but the locker room and the way these guys are teammates gives us a step in the right direction.
Coach, you're the best. Best of luck this season. Thanks for a few minutes today, and enjoy tomorrow night.
I really appreciate you including me. Thank you.
Thanks so much. There's Phil Martelli joining us on the hotline. Fox Sports 920, The Jersey. As you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show, 609-919-9200 is the number if you want to hop on board with us.